Welcome. Hey! Is there anyone who has a glass of bubble? Oh, cheers, everybody. Cheers. It's really, really great to see all of you here. This is the kickstart of Foo Café, and I will try to do some presentation so everybody understands what it actually is. The elevator pitch is just like a conference, but every day, year-round. That's the vision. We should have different kinds of seminars, workshops, mingle activities, networking, you name it, just as it is on a conference. And I will also take the opportunity here to tell you a bit of my journey. So you might think that I'm the only one. Yeah. I am the only one who get paid, so matter of fact. So, so the idea started at Örev. How many of you have been to Örev or know what it is? Yeah, most of you. Yeah, nerds, I assume. After a few years, I really enjoyed just walking around at the conference and see all the nerds getting social. That's really, really strange. And also all the creativity which was created at the conference. You know that people was developing frameworks during the conference. Dan was part of it once. And all crazy shit was happening, and people was really, really happy. And I thought, wow, we have to do this every day. I mean, and people telling me that, no, you can't do that. It's just like children asking for Christmas every day. You can't do this every day. So, no, you should do this every day. That's my plan. So, so I developed a plan at Örev at that time. And the first persons I introduced to this idea was Philip Stankowski and Frode Thorsén in the Malmö library. They asked me if I would like to do a mobile developers conference. And I asked them why. And they told me, we would like to, this region should be really, really cool for the mobile developers. In that case, one conference is not enough. We should do something more everlasting, something that happens every day. And they say, yeah, go for it. So, more or less, yeah, more or less. Anyway, so I started to develop the idea, and I thought, I need a website, okay? I didn't have any money, so I asked a good friend of mine, Olof Adel, and he said, yeah, of course, I could help you. I could do that for you. So I used his web server and his brilliant knowledge in having this nerdy website as it is now. And then I had a beautiful girlfriend, Esther Ytterbrink. Sorry, it's a bit quick here. Anyway, so and she helped me with ideas and also helped me with my lousy English. So I'm sorry for that one. And then I met Dataföreningen, and they said, yeah, this is really, really cool. This is something Dataföreningen should have done for years ago. And I told them, yes. But we are still friends. And at a lunch at Vespa, a pizzeria here in Malmö, I met Martin Waldfitz and Magnus Robertson, and they told me that just do it, man. Just do it. Just go for it. Just make the first event, and I said, no, I mean, I don't have a company, I don't have a venue, just give a shit, just do it. And I did it. So I had a first event here, March 22nd. And from then on, I'm just trying out, and today we are here. And then I met Dennis Ilderim, and he was also very supportive to me, and helped me with loads of contacts, contacts that I didn't have. So like accountants and boring stuff like that, what you need when you have a company. And also Björn Granvik is also a very good friend of mine, and I'm really, really sorry that he's not able to come today. And Martina Gavell helped me with bookkeeping and also securing that I'm also paying my tax in the right way. So that's loads of those things you don't think about. It's really different being a manager or director of a company within another company, like I was before in Erdev. Now I'm just all on my own, and yeah, there are loads of things that I have to take care of. But it's fun. So I also contacted loads of user groups, because the idea of making this happen, Foo Café, is to offer a space for user group to act, to have the to have their meetups. And I'm telling them we will do this for free, just for you. I will help you with logistics or marketing and stuff. Do you hear me back there, by the way? I'm sorry. Sort of. So I should speak up. Louder. All right, good. You have to tell me these things. Anyway, so I started to communicate through social networks, and the network became larger and larger. And then I met guys here at Media Evolution, Magnus Ture and Christer Månsson, and those guys really helped me out to having this awesome venue. And then during this time, we have been trying Foo Café out. There have been more than 700 people here visiting us. And then I've been in contact with loads of companies, and so far we have I have succeeded to get a number of partners to Foo Café. It's like 1337, should be in Swedish, yeah. Sigma, Epsilon, Neo Technology, Experis, Techden, Informator, Softvision, Stratitech, and just for half an hour ago, also JFocus, a software developer conference in Stockholm. And I should not forget the people that also supports me from various organizations like Cluster 55, or Cluster 55, I don't know how to say it. Mink, Malmö stad, Stapeln, Medea, Lund University, Malmö University. And of course, my children, Oscar and Linnea. And Oscar is studying in Stockholm, so he's not here, but Linnea is here, my daughter. And they have been my best supporters. That's really great. And yeah, so we ended up in a magic number. So you see, I'm not really alone in doing this. The idea with Foo Café is that we should do it together. I'm just the middleman, whatever you call it. Did you say so? Or spider in the web, yeah. Anyway, let's start. This was just an introduction, and I don't know what to say now. So because my notes just ended. Anyway, the name Foo Café, because in the beginning we called it just a meeting place. Meeting place is that's quite boring, because a meeting place today is actually not really what I'm looking for. Yeah, no, on the other hand, that's exactly what I'm looking for, but that's just everybody else is using it in the wrong way. So we have to create a new name for it. So at the kitchen table at Esther and Olivia, we were brainstorming and we came up with this name, Foobar. And how many of you know what that means or have heard about it? This is an expression coming from a World War II expression, Foobar, fucked up beyond all recognition. And MIT took that expression in the 70s and they put it in a lab. They have two buttons, and on one button says foo, and the other one says bar. And they press those buttons when some shit happened. And then some software developer, I don't know which one, thought this is really cool. We have to use this in software development as well. So when one developer explains it for somebody else, they are using Foobar. So telling that, for instance, as an example, the variable hello could have the name foo. So everybody knows that foo is a non-name. So foo could be anything. And the variable world could be bar. And then when we do print foobar, and in that case it says hello world. So, and that's classic programming. So you have heard about hello world programming anyway. Yeah, most of you. Yeah, great. But a bar is just open during evenings. I would like my meeting place should be open all day. So a cafe is open all day. So hence the name Foo Café. And the best of all, that the domain address was free, so it was just to buy it. And after struggling a bit with the graphical profile, it's a homemade thing by me, I asked a design bureau to help me out, to make it a little bit better. So I talked to DKSP, or DKSP in Swedish, and they come up with this one. So Dan, Nibbe, ta-da! Okay. Whoa! Yeah. So that's the new logotype. Could you see what it is? A coffee cup and switch me?
On-off switch.
Yeah, power off. Yeah, power on. Power on. It should be. Wrong, yeah, wrong. Through that. And new website. Oh. How should I be able to move this around? Yeah. Anyway, can I? Okay, never mind. Anyway, you see the point here is that you can see all the actions, the events happening in a much better way. It should be more visible. It should be more easy to navigate. And the best thing, Google will see it. Because the previous website, Google didn't recognize it. It's only recognized one page, which is quite boring. It's not that good if you should run a business on it. Oh, all right. So, questions? Well, that's quite boring. I think, yeah, almost forgot. When I talked to Mattias Karlsson, so Mattias, where are you? Here. Oh, there, yeah. The guy who runs J-Focus, and he said, couldn't we do some lottery or something? J-Focus is a developer conference in Stockholm, and is it the 7th year you're running now, next year? Yeah. And they get kick-ass speakers, and they're really good. So he said, no, we could actually give away a ticket to the next J-Focus, which is in January or?
First week of February.
First week of February, yeah. So I thought instead of just, because maybe not all of you would like to go to a developer conference, especially my daughter, she's into interior designs. I don't think she would appreciate winning a ticket to a developer conference. But if you would like to attend in this lottery, so put your business card here or write your name on it, on a note. And we will make a draw after Dan's presentation in the bar. So you have to buy a beer as well. So this is, I mean, Foo Café is just, we are doing everything lean, which means that I'm not actually running this venue, or I'm not really running the cafe either. There are other ones who runs it, but we are just cooperating. So this is a tryout for the restaurant to see that, okay, will we be able to make money on having the restaurant open in the evenings, because they have to sell beers to be able to pay salaries. So you understand that one, yeah.
So you're saying that we have to buy beer in order for this to work?
Yeah, that's right. You have to buy beers.
Oh,
no. Yeah, oh, yeah.
We're drinking for Michael, everybody. Make it count.
Anyway, so, yeah. Did it sound that awful? Yeah, you did. Okay, sorry. Sorry. I'm ashamed. Anyway, so I'm handing out notes, or you have business card.
I can handle that.
You can handle that. Oh, great. Brilliant. Thank you. Wow, that's mine. Thank you. Okay. Anything else? Did I forget something else? I know I mentioned loads of names. Maybe I forgot someone. Yeah, another guy who actually have helped me, it's Johan Bornhager. Is over there, yeah? Yeah, so loads of people, yeah. Anyway, it's great to have you here. And now the presentation you have waiting for, my sales pitch for this evening, the reason why you are here. Dan, but he has a bad throat, so he can't speak. No. Dan.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm not going to do a big talk because this isn't my night. This is Michael's night and your all night and Foo Café's night. I do want to talk a little bit, because I just like talking. I do want to talk a little bit about what we as geeks, and I'm assuming most of us here are geeks or daughters, girlfriends, partners of geeks, do in our spare time to geek. And in particular, what I'm thinking of is this idea of coding dojos. I don't know if that's going to work. I'm going to put this, is that camera person, is that any good? Is that working? Right, there aren't any slides, there's just Dan and some writing things. Who's been to a coding dojo? Put your hands up, don't be shy, coding dojos. Okay, and the thing is, we've got this fascination with anything Japanese and mystical sounding, right? So we have coding dojos. And inside the coding dojo, we do coding kata. Yeah? You're coding kata. And so, does anyone know what a dojo is? Well, the actual Japanese word dojo, what that dojo is. Anybody? This is like an interactive bit. Oh no, we're in Sweden, Dan. Silly sod. Right, does anyone, what's a dojo?
Training room.
It's a training room. It's a training room. It's a room that you go in to do training. Oh, that was the perfect answer, by the way. That's a better one than I had. Training room. Okay? Yes. Okay, thank you for that feedback. Dan, find a black pen. How about, whoa, oh, that is whiteboard. Okay, so, do we have a wipey thing? Yes, we do. Training. Is that any good? It's not black, but it might fulfill the criteria of readable. Can you see that?
Perfect.
Or should I write bigger? I can write bigger. I've got a huge board here. You guys aren't in any rush, are you? It's just me and the beer, right? Training. That's what we do when we're in a dojo. What's kata? What does kata mean?
Sequence of movements.
A sequence of movements, okay? The kind of direct translation is it's called a form. A form is a sequence of movements. It's a series that you learn. So the thing is, this idea, this meme sprung up of coding dojos and people going to dojos and doing coding kata. And I think it might have been Dave Thomas, Prag Dave, came up with his coding kata. So we have coding kata. And people learn these coding kata. And I was looking at this, because I've got a bit of a martial arts background. In the, I don't know, a long time ago, before I was fat and slow, I was slim and fast. And I used to do a martial art called jiu-jitsu. And jiu-jitsu takes place in a dojo. You go into this room, and you bow as you go into the room, because it's all about respect. And then there's a mat, and you bow before you step onto the mat, and you bow to the guy or the lady who's running the mat, the sensei. Oh, that's the other one, sensei. There we go. All these Japanese words that we love, okay? And you bow to the sensei, and then you go in and you do your training, and the training might involve kata. You'd learn sequences of moves. And then, so this metaphor translated into geeks hanging out in the evening together. And I was looking at this, and I was thinking, I don't think that's a very sensible thing to do with your time. And a bunch of geeks looked at me and went, what? You know? But Dan, this is Foo Café, and this is, you know, we're a bunch of geeks choosing to do this with our time. No, here's what you're doing, right, in your dojo, okay? What you're doing is a thing called deliberate practice. Who's heard of the phrase deliberate practice? Oh, fewer than I thought. Who's not heard of the phrase deliberate practice? All right, you are here. Okay, brilliant. Right, so there's this lovely phrase, deliberate practice. Deliberate practice. And the premise of deliberate practice is that in order to become really skilled at something, you have to invest a bunch of time in that something, okay? So you go into your dojo and you learn the kata, and the kata is a sequence of moves. Before I did jiu-jitsu, I did a Chinese martial art called wushu quan. And wushu quan, you learn, the first form that you learn is, the story is that it's a guy defending a doorway. So you're in your doorway, and someone attacks from this side, and you block and you punch, and something happens, and then someone comes from over here, and you do the same thing that way, and then you go and attack this way, which is really handy on the rare occasion that someone attacks you from this side, and then shortly afterwards someone attacks you from this side, while the guy here waits. And then when you're good and ready, he comes at you. Okay, then it's perfect. Other than that, it's just a sequence of moves. Okay, obviously I'm being facetious. The point of it is to learn how to flow moves together. And the problem I have with that is it couldn't be a worse metaphor for what we do when we're programming. Okay? And what I wanted to do tonight is mess with you a little bit, and then we'll all go and drink beer. The reason I think this is the wrong metaphor is it's optimizing for the wrong things. Now, a handful of you have just spent the day with me, and they've heard me use the phrase optimizing for more times than they ever want to hear. But they're going to hear it some more times now. When you deliberately practice something, what you're doing when you learn a kata, when you learn a sequence of moves, when you learn locks and you learn them and again and again and again, you repeat them, it's exactly the same thing that you learn when you do scales. Okay? When you learn a piece of music. What you're learning is you're learning to perform. You're learning to give a performance. You're learning to do a thing. Okay? So all of this is leading to one thing, to give a performance. Okay? And the quoted time, I think it was, who's the guy that wrote Blink? Anyone? Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell. I think it was him that said something like, it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert in something. And I think his data came from airline pilots. It takes 10,000 hours to become an expert airline pilot or fighter pilot or something. So performance scales 10,000 hours. Okay? Let me play that back to you. It takes 10,000 hours to be able to perfectly do the same thing again and again and again and again and again and again. Whether that same thing is playing Rachmaninoff's third piano concerto, or whether it's defending yourself from guys attacking you in doorways, or whether it's any of those other things for which, whether it's playing a musical instrument, whether it's any of those other things for which, flying a plane, you need to do 10,000, you need to be able to reproduce again and again. How often, who writes software here? Excellent. Who's going out with someone who writes software here? There we go, that's everyone now. Who's just waiting around for beer and they're in the wrong session? Yeah, the rest of them are next door. There we go. So who of all the people who write software do the same thing again and again and again when you're writing software? Well, two of you. Okay. You're doing it wrong. When we write software, we are not performing. It's not a performance. Kata doesn't count. Dojo doesn't matter. Okay? None of that is true because we're not deliberately performing a thing. Oh. And I think that's a dreadful shame. And the thing I think is a dreadful shame is this, is whoever of you guys who've been to coding dojos and katas and and tried that stuff, you are obviously prepared to invest above and beyond in doing stuff, in learning your skill, learning your art, learning your trade. And this is what you're doing with it. And I think that's a dreadful shame because you've been missold this thing. What I want you to be doing, what I think you'll find more useful, rather than something that optimizes for performance. And what does optimizing for performance mean? It means minimizing variance. It means every time I play the piece, it sounds like every other time I play the piece. I am note perfect. I am pitch perfect. I am timing perfect. Every time I land the plane the same way. Every time I do the kata, I do it in exactly the same way, and you can see that I really deeply understand the kata. What an utter pointless waste of time if you're a programmer, is all I'm suggesting. Sorry. Okay? So we are optimizing to minimize variance. Which would be great if we were in the kind of job that didn't have any variance. Oops. We're not. If we're in the interesting end of our industry, we're in a place that maximizes variance. We're in a place where every single thing is the differentiating thing, is the thing that makes us better than the other guys. We're not learning how to do that. We're learning how to not do that. And we think that's good. Okay? So let's stop doing that. What I want to do instead is a different thing. Instead of focusing on deliberate practice, I want to spin this around a bit. It's still going to be Japanese, you'll be delighted to know. Okay? I want you guys to focus on deliberate learning. Deliberate learning is the opposite of deliberate practice. Deliberate learning, we're not minimizing variance, we're maximizing discovery. It turns out if we get really, really good at maximizing discovery, we get really, really good at problem solving. We get really, really good at seeing the unfamiliar, not being scared of the unfamiliar, and being able to solve problems. Does that sound like what you do in your day job? Yeah, that'd be a more useful way to spend your evenings, wouldn't it? Let's stop going to dojos, doing kata. Okay. Turns out I'm not the first person to think about how we do learning, and in particular, how we maximize discovery. Two major world religions have got some fantastically well-documented stuff in this space. Okay. Buddhism. Told you I'd go Japanese again. Zen Buddhism in particular. I'm going to free up some board space here by using this wipey thing. Zen Buddhism has a thing called a koan. A koan is a question, a puzzle. Usually it's a puzzle with an impossible answer, or with no answer, or with an ambiguous answer, or where the answer does. But the point of a koan isn't the answer. The point of a koan is the mental struggle you have with the question itself. And it's the journey you go on when you puzzle with this question. And what the koan leads to, and the koan is usually handed from a Zen master to a Zen student, a Zen novice, the koan leads to a thing called satori. And satori is a sudden moment of enlightenment. Okay? The Western translation of satori is a face palm. It's like, oh, that's the sound of one hand clapping. Okay? No, so there's all these different koans, and there's famous koans like, what's the sound of one hand clapping? Well, it's a bit of a silly question. That's the sound of, doesn't really make much sound at all. But then when you have two hands, oh, where does the clap come from then? If neither one carries half a clap, where does the clap come from? And when you start digging into something like the one hand clapping koan, you realize that actually it's teaching you that some things, the sum isn't just greater than the parts, it's different from the parts. No single hand can make a clap sound, but two hands together can make a clap sound. No single hand can make part of a clap sound. Clapping is a thing that only happens with two hands. My satori moment with this was pair programming. What's the sound of one hacker coding, right? It's normally, oh crap, I'm out of root beer. But you know, two people pair programming aren't two people pair programming. It's a pair of people pair programming. They're doing a different thing. Right, I had this real moment with that. There's loads of these. Okay, Christianity. That's my lot, right? So Jesus speaks in parables a lot. These parables are really simplistic stories. There's some guys working for a farmer, and at the end of the day, he pays them all a day's wage. And some other guys come sloping up, like 10 minutes before the end of the day, start working, and at the end of the day, they get a day's pay as well. Discuss. And you go away and you go, well, that's a bit unfair. Because those other guys worked all day, and these guys worked 10 minutes, and they all get a thing. Yeah. And you go off and you puzzle. Eventually, I mean, I'm not going to go into this now, but eventually, stuff lands, and you go, oh, same kind of thing, same kind of satori. Okay? There's layers and layers of texture in a koan. There's layers and layers of texture in a parable. Okay? So what we want to do is get good at learning, get good at discovery. And we can do that using similar principles. Has anybody come across programming, learning Python the hard way? Zed Shaw's online series. Okay, I cannot recommend this enough. Guys, Zed Shaw. I'm not a fan of everything Zed Shaw's done, but he's done this fantastic series called Learn Python the Hard Way. What he does is, you can buy the book, it's a great book, but you can do it all online as well. And each exercise is he gives you just enough information to get stuck and leaves you there. Genius. Now, there's two things here. The meta message is, but I think you can get out, otherwise I'm just being mean, right? And sometimes, it's Zed Shaw, sometimes he's just mean, you know, you can't guarantee it. But no, so you get into, he digs these holes and you fall into the traps, willingly, you know, fall into this trap and I've got to figure my way out. But Zed Shaw thinks I can get out. He thinks I've got enough information. I've just got to figure out what the gaps are. What an incredibly enlightened way to teach. Yeah? Because what he's saying is, I'm going to give you the koan. I'm going to give you what seems like an impossible problem, but I'm going to give you one tiny bit of information, one sliver of hope, which is there's another chapter. You're on chapter 6, there's chapter 7. Yeah? So there must be a way out, or this is just the mean chapter, you know. And so that gives you hope, and you carry on doing it. So that kind of training, these kind of coding koans, someone else did a whole series called Ruby koans. And it's the same sort of thing. They're not hard problems to solve, but each time you solve a problem, you go, wow, I didn't know the language did that. Put that in my back pocket, that's useful. Okay, so this is what I would suggest is start looking at deliberate learning rather than deliberate practice. Now, with a lot of these things, again, the answer is hidden in plain sight. My favourite one of these, just seeing Ola Binny's hat at the back, so I'm going to make a Tolkien reference now, because that's obligatory, is the speak friend and enter inscription on the mountain. There's speak friend and enter. It's like, well, speak what? What's the magic password? Anyone who hasn't seen it or read the book, put your fingers in your ears. It turns out it's friend. Speak friend and enter. Just do what it says. Yeah, hidden in plain sight is a very, very clever and smart place to hide things. So what are we optimizing for with learning? With practice, we're optimizing for repeatability, for performance. With learning, we're optimizing for versatility, adaptability. We're optimizing to be able to do things that we couldn't do before. So what do we need to learn? How do I know what I want to learn next? How do I know what is the next most useful thing I can learn? I'll give you a clue. The answer's in plain sight. How do I learn what I want to learn next? Anyone?
What you want to learn.
Oh, very deep. No. Pardon?
Learn about learning.
Ha 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 ha. How do I learn what I want to learn? I learn what I want to learn. The answer's there, right? So I need to go and find out what things there is possible to learn. And so, therefore, Foo Café, right? Where do I learn stuff? I learn stuff by hanging out with people way smarter than me and going, whoa, that's pretty awesome. I'm going to go and take a look at that next. When do I get to do that? I get to do that at conferences. I'm really lucky that I'm a loudmouth, because loudmouths get invited to conferences, so I get to go to a lot of conferences. Why do I go to conferences? I love talking. No, I love meeting people and sharing ideas, and I love learning. Okay? So I get an opportunity to go to conferences. Now, not everyone gets an opportunity to go to conferences. Conferences are expensive, they involve travel, they involve time away from work. What if you had a conference that was on all year round? What if at any point you could rock up and it would be like a conference? Okay? And I think Michael's quite a clever guy, because that's exactly what he's done. So right now I'm second order ignorant. I don't know what I don't know. I can come along to a Foo Café and two things will happen. The first thing is I will become first order ignorant. I will discover all sorts of things that I don't know, and I'll choose some that I want to know. Now I'm just ignorant of those things. Okay? Right now the thing I'm ignorant of is Go language. I'm very excited about Go. I don't know why, it just really appeals. So do a bunch of other things though, so shiny toys. But so Foo Café, I come along and I discover all these things that I don't know about, and then, but the next day, and the next week, it's a conference. It's a conference, it's a conference, it's a conference. So that means that then I have this facility where I can come and learn that thing. I have a continuous, deliberate learning opportunity. Bloody hell, the man's a genius. Okay? And I was looking at it, and one of my favourite things when someone comes up with an idea that's so huge that you struggle with it, and I think that's what Michael's done here, is I think, you ask the VC question, what if Google did this? I was thinking, what if Google did this? It would be this. It would be a thing that, because I don't know if you noticed, but there were like 1,200 odd people, or 2,000 odd people, that he's managed to rope into this. Okay? A good bunch of those people have money. All right? When you think of Google, what do you think of? Think of search. And you often think of, or if you're a geek, you think of like Gmail and Google Maps and some of the... Google is not a search company. It is not a technology company. Google's an advertising company. They just happen to have cool tech. This is not a rolling conference. This is an advertising thing. You don't need to know that, because that's what sponsorship means. Okay? A bunch of people who think this is a great idea want to be associated with it. Because of that, it exists. And because of that, you guys get to come along and it's like a conference. Okay? it's the illusion of a conference. Isn't that brilliant? I have a thing I want to give Michael. Where is he?
Yep. Oh, my man.
It's posh. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Party.
So he'll be opening that. No, he won't. So that's kind of all I wanted to say. I think this is huge. I think it's still going to hit me in waves what he's done, because I still haven't quite grasped it. I expect the same thing will happen. You're going to come to a bunch of these. Some of them will work, some of them won't work, some of them will be incredibly life-changing. Okay? And the fun is watching how the whole thing evolves. Yeah? I'm very excited about Foo Café, and I'm absolutely honoured that you had me along. So thanks, everyone, and enjoy the beer.
Just before we start drinking beer, I would like to talk about the Coder Dojo, which is just said it sucks. Anyway.
Give it a different name.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Coder Dojo is an Irish concept, what we are doing at Foo Café since April, where we are actually learning kids to program. And
see, that is a dojo, because that's practice now. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll let you have that one.
Okay. Anyway, to make that work, we need mentors, and we are missing out on female mentors. Did you know that we had 40% girls? I mean, girls like this high, 7 years old girls coming, making games and websites and stuff. So everybody is welcome to be a mentor for these kids. And we are doing that every Wednesday. So just send me an email or just talk to me. Another thing is that this awesome place, Media Evolution City, they should have every second Friday, they should have after work here. And the best part is that everything is for free. So that's an after work. So first after work will be on Friday this week. So if your money is running out from your last salary, which was just like 6 days earlier, in that case it would be a good thing to get, yeah, a beer or two. Anyway, now have a beer and meet somebody that you haven't spoke to before. And I'm really, really happy to see all of you. Have a nice evening. I will be around.